So if you guys have been around the channel in the last month, you'll know that I keep talking about why this watch will be my next watch. And to be honest, I hadn't really spent that much time with it, so I didn't fully understand why I was so attracted to it, why it had such a grip over me. And then I borrowed this watch from a friend. I've had it for around about 3 days, and now I understand it. This watch is absolutely perfect. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Chisholm Hunter channel. My name is Harrison, as always. And before we start this video, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button to help a fellow watch enthusiast out and also help us reach our next goal and giveaway at 75 or 100k, I'd really appreciate it. So for basically ever, the Omega Seamaster that's on my wrist has been the king in my eyes. The watch that started this obsession, or didn't start the obsession, but kind of cemented the obsession in my eyes. I have such a sentimental connection to this watch, but I've had it for 5 or 6 years now, and the time is starting to come where I'm wanting something new. I'm wanting the new fun toy, but I don't want that fun toy to be something that lasts a couple of months and then, I'm not as interested in it anymore, because I've definitely had watches like that in the past. And this watch, this Speedmaster Professional Sapphire Sandwich is literally perfect in every single way. I can't flaw this watch. I legitimately can't flaw it. Let's just quickly cover the specs, and as we run through the specs, I'll tell you why each spec is pretty damn near perfect, to me anyway. And on that note, guys, I'm literally taking this off my wrist to put this one on. But what is on your wrist today? Please let me know in the comments. It's time for the Chisholm Hunter tradition, which of course is the wrist check. I am currently wearing the Seamaster 300 meters, the king, but soon, hopefully, it will be the Speedmaster. It's going to be weird calling it a Speedmaster, not a Seamaster. It's going to be strange. Okay, so the first spec that everyone's going to talk about is the case diameter. This comes in at 42 millimeters in diameter, but I have to say, it wears substantially smaller in my eyes to the Seamaster, to the King, that is literally right here. And I think part of the reason for that is because of the thickness. It comes in at 13.2 millimeters in thickness. Now remember that part of that thickness, if you want to call it that, is because it doesn't have a rotor in the back of it. It is a fully manual wound watch. And I love manual wind watches. I feel like manual wind watches are a dying breed in the industry, and manual wind watches are where the industry started. The lug to lug comes in at 47.5 millimeters, and this is a true lug to lug because it doesn't have fixed end links on the bracelet there. So you can see the bracelet just drops straight down. So it gives it a true lug to lug of 47.5. This watch, of course, is made from full stainless steel. It has a combination of brushed and polished stainless steel. And I do think that the polishing is part of the reason why I'm so attracted to this watch. It runs down the lugs and gives it a real flow to this watch. Now, the bracelet actually has quite an extreme taper on it. It tapers off quite drastically, but I think it gives it more of an elegant, refined feel. I feel like the Seamaster, for all its glory, and it is the king, it has more of a rugged nature about it, where this is that little bit older, that little bit more refined, that little bit more professional. It has a deployment clasp at the end of this watch, and in the inside, or on the inside, you do have micro adjustments right there, or macro adjustments right there. And for example, if you're too warm in the summer, it's roasting in this room at the moment, you could go beep and just push it out that little bit, and it expands to your wrist, making it super, super comfortable. It has 2 polished pushers at the right-hand side, and on the right-hand side again, next to the 3 mark, where the crown normally is, lies the crown. When you wind the watch up, when you power the watch, listen to this. Really subtle. You can feel it clicking. You can feel that hairspring tightening up, ready to release that energy through your watch. And I love that. To top it off, if you want to start the second hand running, you can just push that top pusher. Oh, what a noise. If you want to pause it, and if you want to reset it, bottom pusher. It's just so fun. This watch has domed sapphire crystal glass with anti-reflective coating on the inside. Now, I know that there's been some requests for a Hesalite version of the white dial Speedy. I personally feel that although the Hesalite crystal is a throwback, or more of an accurate throwback to the space missions and the lunar missions, it isn't as wearable in society nowadays. I think sapphire crystal serves more of a purpose. And also with sapphire crystal, with the Sapphire Sandwich, you get to see into the beating heart, into the movement of this watch. And the movement on this watch it's the bezel on this watch is in black, and obviously the face of this watch is in white. And white dials, guys, are literally my vice. And when executed like this, a white lacquer dial with depth to it, with the chrono functionality stepped down into that dial with red splashes on the second hand, with red splashes on the Speedmaster text, highlighted by that black bezel and made more vintage looking by that domed glass. It's just a perfect combo. Everything on this watch works. It works well with each other. It gels together beautifully. Honing in that dial a little bit, there is so much bloody depth to it, and I seriously love it. It is a step dial, so the sub dials are down an extra level comparatively to the dial. And then when you combine that with the sapphire crystal glass, the domed sapphire crystal glass, you kind of go down a level every time, and it draws your eye in. Everything about this watch just, it doesn't shout too loud, but it draws the eye. It's just, yeah, it's wow. Now, I'll admit, this watch is definitely more of a dressy watch. It's manual wound. It's got loads of polished metal on there. It isn't, or it doesn't serve the same purpose as my Omega Seamaster sitting over there majestically like the king does. But it brings a new type of finesse to a collection that I currently don't have. I mean, I have lots of rugged watches. I have lots of sports watches. I have lots of watches that I can take outdoors and take into the wilderness. But when I want that something a little bit more refined to wear when I go to the office, this is where this watch comes in. When we flip this watch round to reveal the movement, it is the caliber 3861. And this is a manual winding movement, which, by the way, isn't a bad thing. I love manual winding movements with a coaxial escapement. It's certified by Master Chronometer, approved by Metas, and is resistant to magnetic fields reaching 15,000 Gauss. It has a free sprung balance with a silicone balance spring, and it has a power reserve of roughly 50 hours. It, of course, is water resistant to 50 meters, and I feel like this watch, and stay with me for this analogy, is kind of like the new Land Rover Defenders, the new range of Land Rover Defenders. The old range of Land Rover Defenders served an actual purpose. They were rugged for a reason, and just like this watch, people were literally taking them into space to the moon. It had to be extremely rugged, hence the Hesalite crystal and all that kind of stuff. They've kept the core DNA, but made it fit for society nowadays. I mean, not everybody is going into space. In fact, probably none of us that get these Speedmasters will go into space. The new Defenders still can do all this stuff, but they just look prettier. They're more aesthetically appealing. They are just a little bit more succinct to society nowadays. And I think that's where the white dial Speedmaster comes in. I'm a sucker for white dials. I'm a sucker for history. I'm a sucker for chrono watches, and I don't have a chrono watch yet in my collection. And when you put the Speedmaster Chrono versus the Zenith Chronomaster Sport or the Rolex Daytona or whatever chrono you want to put it against, I still feel like the Speedmaster comes out on top. It's just so refined. And even if you remove I think I heard this in one of Adrian's videos, and it was a very good point he made. Even if you remove the NASA element to this watch, even if you remove the fact that it's been into space, it's still downright sexy. And that's why the watch to my left is literally going to be my next watch. Now, it might take a while. I'm sure it will take a while because I'm absolutely skint at the moment, and I want to hit a milestone before I get it, but that is the reason. I think this watch is just perfect. Please let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to hear your opinion, your thoughts and feelings on this matter. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button or follow our Instagram at Chisholm Hunter Watches or my Instagram at HP Lifelines or a podcast at Into the Mind Podcast. And I'll see you guys real soon. Hopefully, I'll have this watch.